Shrooms here. Wanted to go over some the deathmatch settings for Age of Empires 1 Definitive Edition. Um, First off, this is going to be just any kind of general deathmatch. We're going to go over a little bit of Wonder War here, but if you're using just regular deathmatch rules, um, typically you're going to random civilization here. Kind of makes it fair for everybody. Gives you kind of several different people to play with. And they're all going to be based on the same 4 units essentially. So randoms typically is what's chosen here. If you're of less skill level, you can always pick one. It'll show you the tree, that way you know what to kind of build, and what you're going to want to build are the units that have this glowing aura around it after Iron Age. So these, and I got Centurions as well. So I've got a really heavy infantry, don't really have very much cavalry, and I've got some good finishers when it comes to catapults and stuff. For Roman anyways, we're going to do random. So again, if you're lesser skill level, you pick your civilization, people will understand. Over here, we've got our deathmatch, our map type, which is typically Highland. For 1v1, you can do Highland, Hill Country, and Narrows. For 2v2, 3v3, you can do, or team games, you can do Highland, Hill Country, Narrows, Oasis, and Rivers. Wouldn't recommend the last three, Rivers and Oasis, for 1v1. When it comes to map size, the orientation that you're going to want is typically how many people you have. So if you do 1v1, if you're doing 2v2, if you're doing 3v3, or if you're doing 4v4. If you're of lesser skill level, or if you're having trouble with people, what's called quote-unquote painting you, building in your area, or building really close to you, you can always go up one. So if we're doing 2v2, we go up to 3, or huge map size, 6-player map size. But just note, it does give you a few more resources and whatnot, but it allows the lesser player to kind of get beat back a little bit more, or progress forward and push forward a little bit easier without there being so much aggression. When it comes to revealed map, we're going to do explored. When it comes to population limit, for 1v1, 2v2, I like to stick to 250. For 3v3, 4v4, I like to go back to 200. Just helps the frame rate and the lag, overall lag. When it comes to starting age, I am one that likes Iron Age, which means you don't get a lot of the, or you don't get any of the upgrades from the Iron Age. This is, again, mostly for people that are going to be older zone players, are going to want the Iron Age. For DE, because there's some quirks when it comes to building unbuilt buildings, I like to stick with a post-Iron Age. It's easier for the new players. They don't have to know all these upgrades to get their legendary units out in a matter of a few minutes. And it kind of gives them a little bit extra resources to have a little bit extra gas, so to speak, when you give them post-Iron Age. And again, there's some issues with building unbuilt buildings. So if they build a granary, they start farming or getting berries immediately after that, and that's an issue if you have 2 or 3 other buildings that need to be built. So I stick with post-Iron Age for, again, ease and for newcomers. When it comes to victory type, I go with Conquest. It means you have to destroy every single enemy essentially. If you wanted to do Wonder War, you would pick Standard here. So again, you got Wonder War, and then you got essentially just a full-on deathmatch. When it comes to speed, it'll be very fast, always. And then game mode, we're going to go Definitive Edition here. And that is the settings for your typical deathmatch, AoE 1, on the Definitive Edition.